Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of the Reset Podcast. I'm your host, Laura Munoz, CEO of the experience agency D-Flash. Each week, I bring on a different business leader who's doing some game-changing work. And this week's episode is no different. I'm super excited to have Diana Benjamin, who's the managing partner of New Genesis Pathfinder. It's an awesome organization that helps companies figure out how to navigate the crazy world of WMBE certifications. So it's going to be a great and informative conversation. Take a listen. Hey, Diana. Thanks for coming.
Hi, Laura. Thanks for having me.
So on the show, as I say, it's always the very first question that I ask every single person. It's always fun to see where it always nets out, and I think you're going to be no different. Diana, what was your first job?
My first job was data entry right out of college. So I did data entry in a pretty well-established law firm.
And you were like, oh my God, I don't want to be in this job ever again.
Absolutely not.
You enjoyed it? You hated it?
No, I actually enjoyed it. I enjoyed it only because the team was great. The environment was great. And of course, there's free coffee every day.
I'm guessing that you learned that great coffee and a team environment is kind of important for business.
It certainly is.
Fantastic. So, all right, so you've got this cool new company. What is it you do now?
So now I work with MWBE firms, small and mid-sized MWBEs, help them navigate, getting through the weeds of understanding how to do business with the city of New York.
And how does one even begin to start that universe? Because I know, having done it, it's a pain in the behind.
It is. It definitely is a pain in the butt. But having worked in city government for a number of years, I have gained that experience, and so I am branded as a pro in helping MWBEs to understand the do's and don'ts and just to avoid some common pitfalls.
So how in the world do you go from data entry to building this company where you're helping these MWBEs navigate this weird and circular system?
That's a great question. And it all happened, I served as an intern for one of the city agencies. And back then, it was actually the LBE program, which is Local-Based Business Enterprise, quite similar to MWBE program. And then I left New York after 9/11 and then kind of circled back and came back to New York later.
So you just left?
Yeah. After 9/11, New York was crazy, and I just didn't want to deal with the craziness of being stuck on the train. Yes, I did. I actually worked on Broadway, and yeah.
On 9/11?
Yes.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So right after, it was really just very crazy, and I didn't want to, be in the craziness. So I moved to Florida.
Of all the places.
I know.
Florida?
Florida.
Really? Where
Yes.
in Florida did you move to?
Palm Beach County. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Yes, loved it.
You're like, okay.
No winters.
This is true, but it's Florida.
Yes. Experienced a few hurricanes, but I'll take that. I'll take that over 9/11.
Okay.
The trauma of 9/11, actually. So.
Okay, so you're in Florida. For how long were you in Florida?
I spent 4 years in Florida, actually, and then my husband is active duty military, so we transitioned to Fort Bragg, North Carolina. We spent 7 years in North Carolina. And then the Great Army decided to send us to New York back home. So we were like, yay, whoopee.
And were you still working in government after jobs around that point, or were you just like a little bit of everything you can find?
No, I actually did some consulting work where I worked with military to help them learn Microsoft Office and Microsoft Word, especially guys who were infantry guys who were really in the gutters and really had no computer experience. So I did that consulting for a little bit, and I also worked as a consultant, a contractor rather, for the education center on Fort Bragg, again working with soldiers and their families just to help them get up to speed with some of the resources that were available to them.
So helping people navigate complex systems to get resources that are available to you is basically what you do all the time.
That is what I do.
I think, that is your calling. That is the Zen, the ethos of Diana.
That is true. That is correct. Yes, it is.
And so you move back here, and you're like, I want to get a government job.
Yes. And that is actually true. Actually, someone reached out to me and said, hey, I know you're back. Are you looking for work? And I'm like, absolutely. This is New York. And it so happened that the very agency I interned with, they had an opening. For
like 15 years later.
Yeah.
And they remembered you as the intern because no one ever leaves.
Exactly. And plus I did such a great job.
Well, of course.
And so the person I interned with, the manager at that time, she was actually looking for someone to be an MWBE compliance analyst. And sure enough, I submitted my resume and gave her a call to let her know, hey, I'm back. I submitted my resume, and sure enough, an interview. And it just happened from there.
So it's interesting to me that how, it's one of the key things to talk about on the show is that, like, one, following up, always keeping in touch.
Yes.
And also leaving a lasting impression on people is absolutely key to your success, especially when, women of color, like, this is something that we have to sort of impress upon people early on, where it's like, yeah, no, those internships come in super duper handy.
Yes.
It happened with me in my career as well. And you, like, 10, 15 years later, women still remembers you.
Yes.
And, like, was like, hey, how can I make this work?
Yeah.
So it's indelible, I think, like following up and making sure people know that this is where you can learn from other folks. Will help you when you're on your path to success.
Absolutely, and just do a great job. Do a great job, and that's exactly what I wanted. I did a great job, and I was never forgotten. And even staff remembered me because I was always the one to help everyone, and say good morning and just be pleasant.
How'd you make it of you?
Exactly. My grandmother trained me well.
All of us, it's like drilled into our brains.
Yes.
And we're babies. You must say hello.
Yes, good morning. Yes.
Everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So you land in a city job and you're like, okay, how do I make this career? And so how does that happen?
Yeah. Again, it's about building relationships and, sustain those great relationships. And I thrive on building relationships and, again, following up. Those are, some of my key things that I always try to do. And so landing government, building these relationships within the MWBE community from just attendance at networking events and following up again. And so it just kind of spiraled into what it is now.
How has it changed? Because I know that even in the last few years, the whole process of even getting your certification, I think it would be great to sort of explain to people why you do it and why it's so important.
Sure, of course. So it has changed, and the change merely came with the certification process is long and daunting, and what the city has done in recent months or maybe a year or so, they have significantly reduced the amount of paperwork. And I'm sure when you did it, it probably was about 30 or 40 pages.
It took 3 months for me to sit there and do it.
Exactly.
I have a business to run.
Exactly. And then you probably had to do it manually. Now it can be done online. And so that's great. Then you upload all your documents online as well. So they have actually streamlined the process significantly to make it more friendly, user-friendly and welcoming for MWBEs or people who desire to be registered, certified as MWBEs.
And so what's the value of even getting the certification? Because, I think people hear about it but are like, what? Why should I do this, huh?
Well, the value of getting the MWBE certification, first, I must say, certification does not equate contract. But what it does, it allows you to be in a database or the city directory. And what that is, the city has minority participation goals on just about all contracts. And so what that is, prime contractors are required to sift through that database, look for MWBEs to partner with, also to utilize as subcontractors in fulfilling the city utilization goal. You're also invited to networking events where you have the opportunity to meet other MWBEs as well as city agencies. So that, and also resources. There are resources that are open to MWBEs that might not be available to non-MWBEs.
So I'm in business. What are like the kind of steps in that process? I just met you, Diana. Hey, I want to become certified. What are you going to tell me to do?
Well, first we have to make sure that you're eligible, and there's some eligibility requirements. And the first one is that you must be 51% owner of the company. Yay! And now you're 51% of the company. Great.
That's either a woman or a person of color.
Yes. Yeah. And are male. You should be in business for at least a year, in the 5 boroughs, or Nassau County, Suffolk County, Putnam, and I think Passaic County.
Not Westchester?
And I'm not certain if Westchester.
Interesting.
Not certain. I'll have to check.
It was Long Island.
Yeah. Well, they border Queens, really.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, Westchester, you're a little bit further out,
Right?
so it might not. But a few other counties, Passaic counties, and I think Hackensack, Passaic. I have to just double check those two. But that's pretty much it. And that 51%, that is key, and you must be in business for at least a year. And then those, are just the 4 key components to start looking into certification.
Okay, so I'm 50% woman. I've been in business over a year. Then what would I do? Like what kind of documents? Because I know it's paper heavy. I know we even did it when it was online as well, and it still took 3 months. Yes.
Well, yes, there are documents that you must submit, and some of those documents are actually from you formed your business. Now you're going to have some of those documentation over. You must show your business certificates. They're going to ask for tax documents. They're going to ask for if you're in partnership with another organization. That's just structure of your business that they're going to really ask for those documents.
So do you need an operating agreement and that kind of stuff necessary, or basically you filed your taxes, you're officially certified, you certified like New York State, like LLC or S corp.
Yes.
Those are the kinds of things that you need to have.
Yes.
And so once you've done all of that, do I just call you, or do I have to do it myself?
You can do it yourself because you've streamlined the process. But I am open to assisting with just guidance, providing guidance to just, sift through, because I know just navigating anything with government, it's a lot, and it's really a maze trying to just go around and sift through all the requirements. So I'm open to reviewing those, and I'll open to host a workshop that provide guidance on how to complete your certification application. Then,
okay.
Yeah, and then work closely with the certification agency, New York City Department of Small Business Services, to have them review that certification to ensure that all the required documentations are submitted and all the required questions are answered correctly.
So you're the MWBE Sherpa. You guide everybody all the way through. You know who the right person is to call,
yes.
And be like, hey, this thing isn't done. Why haven't you called these people back?
Yes.
And they'll pick up the phone when you call.
Yes, they pick up the phone when I call.
I
send an email. Hey. Plus, the thing about it, they're really great at calling and responding to calls now, because the city, has a mandate, and the mandate actually was to certify up to 9,000 MWBEs, and the city had fulfilled that, and they're still on that momentum to kind of get more MWBEs. There are tons and tons of opportunities right now in the city and state of New York, and so everyone is really inclined to working with firms who are not certified to get them up to speed and get them certified. So SBS is doing a great job of getting MWBEs certified.
And what's happened? So I've now gotten certified. Full disclosure, I've been certified for years. I think it's been helpful to our business, and to some degree. I mean, we're very specific business that we do. But what have you found has been some of the examples of what happened when people get certified, what they've been able to do with it?
Well, first, I recommend that everyone who gets certified do take How to Sell to the Government workshop. And the city does offer those workshops because this is a new space. If you're coming from the private sector, this is definitely a new space. and there are over 100 city agencies. And if you don't know exactly who buys your services, then you're going to be lost, you're going to be frustrated, and you're not going to even want to be bothered. So I recommend that everyone take that How to Sell to the Government workshop. Once you're certified, the agency does promote those workshops.
And once you've taken some of those workshops, you figure out, okay, I've now figured out how to sell to the government. What do I do? Like, what's the RFP process? Like, how in the world does that work?
Well, it depends also on the service that you sell. So in your case, Laura, you might probably not see an RFP, but what the city has is discretionary spend, and that's how you can be your services can be capitalized by just being utilized in the discretionary spend, meaning that there's only competition with MWBE. So that's another benefit of being certified. So let's say there's a RFP to host an event at Gracie Mansion. Right? That would be great, right?
That would be awesome. Sign me up.
And the mayor decides that, the mayor's team decides that they want MWBE to host this. What the city does, they could use what's called a discretionary fund and pool only MWBEs and send that solicitation only to MWBEs in that space, and you compete against each other. For that opportunity, so it kind of reduces the competition. Yeah, it shrinks the pool. It reduces the competition.
And with the discretionary spending, I guess because I know I've done RFPs in the past, it's been a damn year. With these discretionary, I'm guessing the window is much shorter because if the event is like, I'm 2 months away, then I need to do something a lot faster.
That's correct. The time span is very short, so it's in and out pretty much. Think of an event for the mayor at Gracie Mansion. It's in and out.
And is there a minimum in terms of what the amount is for those kinds of projects versus other projects which are kind of all over the place?
Yes. Currently, the discretionary spend dollar value is up to $150,000. The great news is legislation was just passed recently, and come next year, that's going to increase to $500,000.
So $500,000 projects don't have to go through that scary long RFP process. And, it could be someone like me, it could be someone who sells light bulbs, it could be someone who does cleaning services. It can be up to $500,000.
Absolutely.
Well, that's a game changer.
That's a game changer.
That's a year's revenue for companies. And if the city is open to doing that, what made that giant shift to go from 150 to 500?
Well, I guess the mayor's goal is to award up to $10 billion to MWBEs by 2021. And in doing so, the city is looking for creative ways to help them. Plus, there's a lot of work. And 150, there's tons of work. And 150,000, it's okay. But why not go to 500,000 or even $1 million? Because there are other agencies whose discretionary spend has exceeded $1 million or close. Now the state discretionary spend went up to $1 million.
So the state come 2020, you sell light bulbs. You're MWBE certified. You could essentially have a project where you're up against other MWBEs who sell light bulbs for a project of $1 million. Mm-hmm. And then citywide, it's going to be $500,000 projects.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. That's
a
pretty
game
incredible.
changer.
That's pretty incredible.
It is.
They need to be marketing that to people like yesterday. Just saying. So I have a question. So, we're talking about MWBE certification. Do you ever get pushback from non-MWBEs about why are we getting special privileges?
Personally, I haven't, but I've heard stories. And the non-MWBEs that I've worked with are pretty inclined to work with MWBEs. So, and because they're working on city projects, and it's a mandate, and so they understand that mandate. And even through the pre-construction process or just the pre-bid process, they know up front that MWBE goals, what the MWBE goals are, and so they're pretty inclined to work with MWBEs. And I haven't actually seen that, but of course, like everything else, you're really going to have people who are saying otherwise that it's privilege, and but It is what it is.
It's politics.
Exactly.
It's interesting because I feel like, the benefit for us has been that I know that our clients who are not in New York City see that we have a certification and see value in the fact that, from their corporate side of the universe, they can now say that they're fulfilling some requirements on their end because, we're women-owned and I happen to be a woman of color. So yes. 2 boxes will get checked. Oh, by the way, I'm an immigrant, so 3 boxes get checked. So do you think that, one of the reasons that people should be able to get this certification is because, from a broader sense, more companies are able to see the value in using your services versus someone else?
Absolutely, and they may not; those companies may not use city certification, but it just shows that you have value, and especially if you've ever been awarded a city contract, it does add value to your company to say, "Hey, I've worked with the city of New York or the state of New York." So, absolutely, it does.
Okay, so now that I've gotten my certification and I am going to go up against all these folks with these awesome discretionary funds, what else ends up happening? Are there other groups, other associations that we should be a part of once you do that?
I always encourage MWBEs to network. Network is the key. And their Chamber of Commerce throughout the city of New York, there are various organizations based on the sector that you're in, the industry that you're in, that you should definitely plug into and be a part of those organizations. Not just show up, but, network.
You mean make friends?
Make friends, of course.
And so, what's been an example of a company that you've worked with that's gotten through and been able to grow and take flight? Yeah.
So the great thing is the city buys everything, and one of my noteworthy companies that I've worked with was a catering company, and they were trying to navigate to understand how to tap into this market in government, and we met at an event up in Queens, and we spoke, and I gave him some pointers and asked to please reach out to me so you could come in the office and we'd have a conversation, and I'll kind of help you understand some of the best practices. And he did that, and connected him with the right agencies, and he proceeded to bid on contracts, and last I saw him, his company grew over 700%. So absolutely, yes, there's value. And there are many, many stories. Yes, there are many stories, because since then he's been awarded contracts with ACS, the Children's Services, NYPD, and just several other agencies. And not only that, but agencies are now utilizing him for orientation, monthly orientation, for breakfast, for any networking events. He's been utilized for that, for those opportunities. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
700%.
Mm-hmm.
All because you sprinkled some diamonds on it?
No, I just told him these best practices and connect. And the thing about it, he listened. And that's the key, because, you're providing advice. I'm inside, and I'm telling you, these are the best practices. Ensure that you connect with these agencies. You follow up. If you're not going to bid on the solicitation that came across your desk, then you want to reach out to the agency and just let them know, no bid at this time. If you just ignore it, then chances are they might not, reach out to you.
So that's an interesting point. So you're saying that, if I get an RFP, and
solicitation,
and I can send a note saying, this is awesome, not for me, won't be bidding, is better than just ignoring that email.
Absolutely. And
wow.
We do recommend that. Yes, absolutely. That's the only way that agency procurement officer will know that, okay, maybe this is not, you're not at capacity, number one, or maybe this is not the industry for you. So that's the only way. Otherwise, they won't know. And they'll probably continue or just remove you from the list.
Well, they did, but this is because then they're going to be like, oh, well, okay, this isn't your thing. Who are you again?
Exactly.
And so exactly. It's sort of a good way of kind of keeping top of mind. It's like what I always sort of tell people when they're learning how to network is that it's very important to find ways to be top of mind so they see your face over and over and over again, or see your email or whatever it may be, because you're all so inundated. So the more that you can essentially be like the person who's like in the yellow top over and over again, is going to be super valuable.
It is. It definitely is valuable. And just continue to reach out, not being a pest.
There's a balance.
Yeah, there's a balance. There definitely is a balance. And try to, you can meet with the MWBE officers too and develop those relationships, and they know who you are. So when those opportunities are available, they can, if you're not selected at random, they can always add to the list because they do have the flexibility to add vendors to the list. So that's another, cool way of just getting in the mix of things.
And how do you find those MWBE officers? Are those going to the events that are sponsored by SBS?
Yes, and each city agency, sometimes they partner with each other, but the city just hosted, in June, I think, just hosted the annual MWBE procurement fair, and then you have all the city agencies that were available, and there was access to those MWBE officers and the procurement staff.
And so I got a project. Isn't it awesome? I'm sure a lot of small businesses are worried about getting paid. How does that work once you've been hired by the city?
Well, they're making progress. They're making progress. And I'm saying this because the city now has the city MWBE office, the mayor's office of MWBE, whose primary role is to look at issues at MWBEs.
So there's an office now?
Yes, absolutely,
wow.
Yes. So there is an office now, mayor's office of MWBE. The senior advisor to the mayor actually oversees that office, and the staff, they're very strict, I should say, and extremely serious about this program. And so what the problems are with payments, they'll definitely work with the MWBEs to kind of get to what is causing the delayed payments.
Got it.
And, yeah.
So that means they're slow in paying.
At some point they are. Sometimes they are. But you could be assured that you're going to get your money.
Yeah, because
yes,
it's
exactly.
a state.
You'll get your money.
Like they already allocated that money. So
they're not going to file bankruptcy.
that will not happen.
That's not going to happen. No.
And so, so you're on this path. What made you decide that, like, you know what, this is where I want to go next? I want to sort of go from being on the inside to on the outside to helping small business owners.
Well, a lot of small businesses have approached me and have told me that maybe you should start your own business. And I've been thinking about it, to be honest. And so when the opportunity presented itself, there was not a lot of hesitation to say, okay, well, maybe this is the right time. Of course, some trepidation at first, but then I'm like, no, I am passionate about this. This is my happy place. This is what gives me joy, to really help people to understand, break it into bite-sized pieces. And the opportunities are here. This is a great space. So why not just, take that leap?
Awesome. So what would you tell 25-year-old Diana?
Stay focused. Stay focused. Do not be afraid. Stay focused. Just stay focused, and if it's in your heart, just do it.
And what's next? Now that you've welcome to my side of the house, the land of entrepreneurship. Is it a fun, scary place?
It is a fun, scary place. Absolutely, absolutely a fun, scary place.
But what's gonna be next? So, like, are you gonna now that you've launched the business? Are you gonna be teaching? What's gonna be how are people gonna be able to find you?
Well, people can find me on my website. It's newgenesispathfinder.com, all one word. And email me at diana@newgenesispathfinder.com. And we'll be hosting some workshops, just to get the word out and get people up to speed on what's going on. Develop strategic planning with businesses and how to navigate these contract opportunities. I do one-on-one coaching as well to just, help as much as I possibly can to get you up to speed and, hold your hands pretty much through this scary
Sherpa.
process.
You're a Sherpa,
right?
You're a Sherpa. You're the WMBE Sherpa. That is who you are.
That's
And we'll put all that information in the show notes.
Mm-hmm.
So last question, which is always my fun one now. Where is it's very much about sort of finding balance, and where does Diana go to escape? So escape the munchkins, escape the craziness of the day. Is it a spa? Do you go somewhere for a drink where nobody can find you? Like, what's sort of like your way to get at McDonald's and like sit in the corner somewhere? Like, what is that thing that you sort of do to kind of like have you sort of your kind of quiet moment and like a little bit of self-care?
Yeah, my self-care now is running. I have recently taken up running. My husband is training for a marathon come October, and so he doesn't know that I'm training for a marathon as well. So, so I'm just gonna show up.
You're gonna show up.
I'm just gonna show up.
That? I think you have to register that.
No. I'll register. He just won't know. He'll just see me.
You're like, hey.
He's like, what are you doing? I'm like, yeah, I'm ready for the marathon as well. So yeah, that's it right now. I'm just operating in stealth mode, and that brings a lot of joy right now because I'm just like, yeah, okay.
How far have you run so far?
Oh God, 5 miles.
Without stopping?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so I'm getting there. Listen, if I do a half marathon, I'm good.
You're good.
That's progress.
And what's about running that's sort of been like your kind of happy place?
I'm Jamaican. I was born running.
This is true. That's accurate.
Yeah, of course.
So that gives you some good peace and quiet.
It does. I did track in high school too, like
all
all Jamaicans. Yeah,
Jamaicans.
exactly. Ran track in high school. So absolutely. So that's my happy place. Just flowing with the wind and hearing yourself think and just breathe, and that just gives you that calm. It just gives me that calm, and so yeah, that's my happy place. That's my escape.
Awesome. Well, Diana, it's been such a delight to have you on the show. We're going to put all this really awesome information in the show notes and how folks can find you and reach out. And when you get your workshops, we'll definitely tweet all that stuff out as well. But I think it's just so important for so many small businesses to realize that there's so many opportunities that are available to them.
Yes.
And oftentimes it's a little daunting because we're running our businesses. And so I think it's fantastic that you've sort of come to the other side of the house to help us all figure out how to be successful. So I really appreciate having you on the show. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me, Laura.
Awesome.